Hey guys, welcome back to Erenshor Guides. Today we are looking at 10 things I wish I knew when I started playing Erenshor. I'm not going to say that this is the top 10 things. There's plenty more we could go over, and I might make this into a series, so stay tuned. There might be some more videos about this stuff. Alright, tip number 1. We're not even leaving the main menu screen. Check out this View Server Admin panel. If you haven't looked at this, there's some pretty cool options in here. So there's these recommended boxes or little setups. This is just going to change like the modifiers here. So really what we're looking at is this right side with the sliders and the left side with the checkboxes. One I definitely suggest is just enable minimap. This is just going to make traveling a lot easier when you don't know the game initially. But the rest of these are you know, they're up to you. They're pretty cool. Enable quest markers. That'll put a little blip above NPCs' heads whether they have a quest that involves them or if they have a new quest you can pick up. Show target level. Normally mobs don't actually tell you what level they are. They have little colored rings around them which kind of indicate where they are in stance to you. We're going to talk about that later. XP penalty on death. That's pretty straightforward. GM will jail players. I mean, check that, but watch your mouth. That's all I'm going to say. Weak mob run away. It's pretty interesting, but it can get you in trouble if you can't kill mobs fast enough. They might run into another pack, but it's some extra level of chaos. That's pretty fun. And then raid any zone is interesting. It's normally if you have a raid party, you can only be in your guild hall or you can go into the raids with it. You can't go through the rest of the Erenshor game. The raid will break up, but if you check this, you can. I haven't tested it myself. I don't know what all works. And then the sliders on the right hand side, these are different modifiers for how you play the game. So you can have XP gain up to 5 times. Run speed, global run speed, you can have up to twice. And that's not just you, that's all monsters in the game too. So expect things to be running very fast. NPC health modifiers, damage modifiers, rare drop chance, respawn time on enemies, and then server population. This is the number of sims in your game. I believe it starts around like 160 or something. I don't quite recommend maxing it out right when you start because there's just going to be just so many sim players at your same level. I recommend bumping it up once you get a character well into the game a good bit, and then you just want to repopulate with servers. While we're in here, let's go to the options. Out of that, go to controls. The most important control here is auto run. Make sure you use this thing will just save your life. There is so much running in this game and it is just so nice to be able to run. All right, tip number 2 is that the UI is movable. The way you do it is you go up to your bar here and there's a toggle UI movement, and then there will be these little blue diamonds next to the modules that you can move. And you click and hold and drag on those little blue diamonds. It makes moving things around a lot nicer. You can kind of set things up the way you want. Do note that there may be modules that you can't see. They're just outlines. Just don't worry about them. I don't recommend like hiding them because they're just going to be invisible as soon as you turn off the UI movement. And they may not be obvious for what their use is for a while. All right, tip number 3 is all about groups and friends. So you can go to the group builder here and you can click on the different classes and start inviting, or if you just want to group up with a sim player that you see in the game, you can just click on them and click invite and they'll join up with you. So when you're in a group with a sim player, the more things you kill, the more loot you give them, you build up his trust. That trust comes important when we get into raids way down the road. But for right now, the more you play with sim players, the more likely they are to join your group and eventually join your guild later on. So another feature is the friends list. You can add players to your friends list by clicking on them in the group builder and then clicking friend. And what this does is that it actually assigns this sim player to this character. So Reaver this now Scrubby, because he's on the friends list of Reaver this, he's locked to this character. So he's going to stay around this level and he's going to stay around, you know, getting loot around his level. He's not going to out level you, and he's basically just going to be sitting around waiting for you to play with him. If you want your characters to start leveling up back on their own, just delete them off your friends list. They'll continue on their journey and they will level up to max level eventually. Real quick, we'll go into the managed roles of the friends list. When you click on it, you have all these different tabs, and it's a little overwhelming when you're first getting into it. But basically the first tab, assignments, that's just telling who is doing what. So Scrubby right now is my tank. He is the main assist. I am healing and he is healing. Nobody is crowd control, and he is the puller. Main tank makes sense. That's who's going to be taunting. So if I'm playing a Reaver, Reaver can tank. If I want to be tanking and taunting, I switch it to me. Main assist, that's who the rest of the group is going to be targeting. Typically, you, the player, want to be main assist, because that way, whatever you're targeting, your group is going to focus on. So when you switch targets, they're going to switch targets too. The only exception I would say is that if you're playing a crowd controller, if you're playing like an Arcanist, and you want to be able to click on an enemy, CC them without, the rest of the group attacking them, so your CC actually holds. Other than that, I would suggest you playing the main assist. The rest of it, it'll default to what you need. The other tab that's important right now is healing. Healing just says at what percentage you want heals to start coming into that player. I would just recommend changing everything to between like 70 and 80%, somewhere around there. That way, person starts taking damage, healer's gonna start healing him. If it's at 50%, you might get like 2-shot, and it might not be enough time for the healer to actually get heals off. All right, tip number 3 is where Port Azure is. Port Azure is the main city in Erenshor currently, and it has class trainers, auction houses, banks, different vendors. It's really important to know where this is. So we're starting in Hidden Hills. From Hidden Hills, we're gonna run east. Actually, it's gonna be southeast. We'll just do this in real time, so it's super simple. We're gonna follow this road out. In Ferry's Break, we're just going to keep running east. We're going to stay on this road. It's a pretty safe run, but there are a few wandering mobs that are higher level. And if we're a low level, he will demolish us. All right, we zone in to the Port Azure zone. Once you follow the road, you'll see it on the right. Beware, there's these spark beetles that are a little bit higher level than you would be normally when you come through here. So they like to kill low-level players. So here is Port Azure. We run through the front doors. Second house on the left is the auction house. To get to the bank, keep running straight. Hang a left, it's your first right, and then it's down here in this little marketplace. There's a bunch of little vendors here, and the bank is right here. Quick note about the bank is that it has 99 different tabs. Through all transparency, I did not know that it had 99 tabs until I was 40 hours into the game. To be fair, these tabs weren't here at the top, and after about 40 hours, like, I wonder what this button does. And you should have seen my face, because I was running mules and all sorts of stuff. All right, tip number 5 has to do with dungeons. So dungeons, first and foremost, they are zones, but they are not instanced. What that means is that other sim players can run into the same dungeon you're in, and they can start clearing the way. This is interesting because it lets us sort of group up a little bit more and kind of clear through a lot of the early trash in a dungeon, but this also creates a little bit of competition because they're killing our mobs. That being said, monsters in a dungeon will respawn. If you're used to modern MMOs, that's usually dungeons are instants and monsters don't respawn, so that's an interesting feature of the old days. Another thing to consider about dungeons is that you're usually pretty far away from the last well that you rested at. So if you're about to wipe, run out, because when you run out, even if your party is dead, when you zone out, all of your party members will be resurrected. And the same thing happens if your party runs out. So let's say you're tanking, you go down, but you have a few party members left. If you go to the side here and click run away, they're just going to stop fighting and they are going to beeline it towards the nearest exit. And if they do get out that exit, it will resurrect you and all will be well and you have another chance. It's way better to run out than it is to wipe, because if you wipe, you have to go all the way back to whatever last well you saved at. So the monsters in dungeons are usually a lot stronger than the ones you find out in the open world, but they also usually have a lot better loot. There's often multiple bosses within a dungeon, and usually by the time you get to one boss, part of your way has already started respawning behind you, kind of closing the gap behind you. So dungeons are a whole involved thing, but they're usually worth running, and dungeons are where you're going to find a lot of experience in Erenshor, also with a lot of your loot upgrades. All right, tip number 6 is all about loot distribution and skill books and spells for your sim players. So in order to give something to your sim player, you can either click and drag it from your inventory, click on the sim player in the real world. If it's an item that can go into 1 or 2 slots, you get to choose which slot. Otherwise, in the party panel, there's this loot distribution. And if you click and drag the item in there, it's going to list all the sim players that are eligible for this item, meaning that they are within the class that can get this item. And if you click to choose, you can still choose what slot they get the item. One thing to definitely note is that you do not need to go to merchants and buy skill books and distribute them to your sim players. If you're not sure if a sim player has a skill and you have it on you, you can try distributing to them, but it'll say that they have this skill already, or if you try handing it to them, they'll give it back. Also, if you right click on them from the inventory or from the party management screen, you can click the spells tab and see all the spells that they have. So adding on to that, the way that sim players actually get these skills is actually not while you're playing the game. It's when you close the game. There's a really interesting little way that the game runs this, is that whenever you have a play session and then you quit the game, and by the time that you come back into the game, there's going to be a script run, and that script is going to emulate gameplay time for the sim players, and in that emulated time they're going to be getting appropriate skill books that they would get around that time. They might get some gear, they might get some levels. Like I said before, if they're on your friends list, they're not going to out level you, but they can go and get gear that's kind of appropriate for their level. So that's how like sim players kind of secretly get new gear, is because every time you leave the game and come back in. That being said, if you're having really long game sessions and it feels like your sim players are not getting stronger over those sessions, that's why, because they are not having a chance to learn those new spells because you're not exiting the game. All right, for tip number 7, we are talking about combat. Now, if you don't have the admin function to tell you what level something is, there's a couple of clues that you can do, that you can utilize to give yourself an idea. So when you target an enemy, you can press the C button, and that gives you a little bit of an inspect thing. It's going to tell you, first off, it's going to tell you what their aggro is, and it's also going to tell you about like what their level range is. The aggro is if they're ready to fight you, and if they're in your level range, they're going to attack you on sight once you're in their range. But if it says something like they stand tense or they're friendly towards you, then they're not going to be hostile towards you. The second half is what level they are. So if we look at this guy that we're targeting, there is a green ring around him. That color of that ring is telling us approximately what level this guy is in relation to us. Also, on the UI, it has a little green rectangle. That rectangle will change this to the same color as the ring around him. So green is really low. It's really low beneath us. The different colors are gray, green, blue, white, yellow, orange, and finally purple. Gray and green are way below you. Blue is a little bit below you. It's a few levels below you. You might still get some experience from it. White is about equal level with you. Yellow is a little higher. Orange is higher than that. And then purple is generally like 4 to 5 levels higher than you. So that skeleton was level, I don't know, he's like level 3 or something. Let's jump into this little dungeon here. It is an end game dungeon. And now we click on these guys. You can't really see the ring from here, but there is a purple bar. That means these guys are at least 4 to 5 levels above us. When we reach max level, things are still going to be purple because the end game monsters just keep scaling up higher and higher. So the challenge just keeps increasing. But keep in mind, the color gives us a hint of what the level range is. All right, and continuing on about combat, if we go into the controls, there is an auto attack button. Mine is Q. I can't remember if that's default or not. But when you start the game, you don't have very many skills, and the skills you might have long cooldowns, which can be annoying because, like, how do you start combat? Well, you can just press the auto attack button and your character will try to attack them. If it's a melee character, they won't actually swing till they're in range, but if they're a ranged character, they'll immediately try to start auto attacking. This is a good way to start pulling things even if you have skills on cooldowns. It'll also engage your party right away as well. Also, if you're targeting somebody and you have auto attack on, your character is going to try to hit them. So you can accidentally hit NPCs, and see, I'm trying to hit my my tank here, which is not a very good idea. There is reputation in the game. There's not a ton of it, and there's not a whole lot of serious consequences you can do, but generally if you're in a town and you start attacking guards, you may not be welcome at that town very much longer. All right, for tip number 8, I want to talk about XP pots, and then I also want to talk about some things you want to keep an eye out and just stick in your bank and never touch for a long time. So the oddities merchant in Erenshor in Port Azure has 4 different XP pots that he sells. The level 1 gives you 10% increased XP. Level 2 gives you 20%. Number 3 gives you 50%. And then Enlightenment 4 gives you 100% increased XP. And each one of these lasts for 50 minutes. But if you die, the effect goes away. Another thing to point out is that this XP modifier affects your entire party. So you don't have to worry about, like, you're going to be out leveling your sim players. No, everybody gets the buff. That even works in raids too. So these XP pots can drop from, they are a rare drop. And when you start doing the treasure hunter scrolls, you're going to get a good number of them. So when should you use them? Use them as often as you like. Usually you end up saving a lot more than what you need. So if you want, throw them in your bank and use them for a dedicated XP session. Otherwise, just use them, especially the low level ones. You get a lot of them. Furthermore, there's a few things you want to keep an eye out for. You want to keep an eye out for these torn treasure maps. Just throw them in your bank. You're going to come back to them a lot later. These silver cruxes, you're going to need those a lot later, so just throw them in the bank. Don't sell them. And then the planar shards. I turn all mine into planar stones, but they'll be like planar shards, and you just want to hold on to them. These are all for item upgrades much later down the road. Also, there's these new Essence of Amarians. What you can do with these, let's run to a banker. What you can do with these things, they are a rare drop from, I think, just about everything in the game. If we gift one to a banker, he gives us an ethereal vault. This is a one-time use free bank anywhere you are. So I have this magical bag, which you can buy for 950,000 gold from the oddities trader, and that gives you a bank anywhere you are, but it's super expensive. So in the meantime, you can use his ethereal vaults as a one-time use. You're out in the field, your inventory's full, bam, use it, you can do your banking and continue on your way without having to leave the dungeon. All right, tip number 9 is all about gear. So the coolest thing about the gear in this game is that it has no level requirements. It just has a class requirement. So if you come across something really cool, really powerful, save it for later. Like, your next character will always be way more powerful than your first if you save your gear along the way. I generally save anything that has some interesting effects on it, or if it's just a really powerful item with a lot of good stats. Oh yeah, I meant to mention this in the combat section, but you're going to be getting drops of bread and water and occasionally this brackfruit juice. Use this stuff. If you right click on it, it gives you a buff that lasts like 15 minutes or so, I think. And these buffs are like nothing to scoff about, especially when you're early on. So, you know, if you get these things out in the field, right click to use them and just keep those buffs active, because they're going to make your character a little bit more stronger, and you might just be able to beat that next boss a little easier. All right, for tip number 10, you might roll your eyes, but really it's all about knowing your outside resources. Erenshor is built to be a game that's explored by the community and let the community make its own tools to solve the game. So first and foremost is the Erenshor wiki. It's erenshor.wiki.gg. And there is just a wealth of information on this website. There is just about every item in the game has a page. Not everything is completely fleshed out yet, but hey, maybe you'd be so inclined to contribute. Alongside the Erenshor wiki is the interactive maps. This thing is phenomenal because it has trackers for every mob in the game, and if you're looking for a piece of loot, you can go on the wiki, look up that loot, you can see what monster it is, and then you can click on a link and it'll take you over to the map. There's also a pretty legit modding community in this game. I myself haven't delved into the mods too much, but there are some good quality of life features. There is a co-op mod that I think is being reworked now that raids have come out, but I believe the old version still works up to raids where you can co-op with friends in the single player game. All these things, you know, have a big asterisk on them that they are, you know, community made and may not be completely up to date, so you might have to be patient for the newest update. And last but not least, it's the Discord. Burgee Media has a fantastic Discord, and there is just a treasure trove of information in this thing that people talk about constantly every day, and you can use the search function, look up anything, and people have probably talked about it. The people in this community are extraordinarily passionate about this game and love to share the things that they find. So that wraps up 10 things that I wish I knew when I started. Like I said, I might do another follow-up video to this, but that'll do it for right now. I appreciate you watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.